We now know the name of a man who was shot to death in uptown Charlotte early this morning. The body of 65-year-old Walter Scott Jr. was found near the intersection of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Church Street. Police say another person who'd also been shot flagged down responding officers near the intersection of MLK and Tryon Street.
Here's video of the fire shortly after it started. This is what we were seeing from our building. You can see just the light rail line and a parking lot between us and the flames. The building is on East Carson Boulevard and South Tryon Street, across from the Midnight Diner.
One person went to the hospital after their car crashed into a house in Huntersville. It happened in the 15,000 block of Stone Mount Road at around 7:30 this morning. Police say the driver was leaving for work when he crashed into the house.
All of this went down around 1 o'clock this morning. Police say they found a woman at a house a couple houses away from where I'm standing right now, but she was dead here at the scene. Police also say there was a child inside when all of this happened. The good news, though, the child is okay and was not hurt. Police say it appears this seems to be a domestic violence incident. One of the busiest interstates shut down for an hour or so this morning. They came face to face with police officers. They were chanting, holding up their arms in their hands, letting people know how frustrated they are with what happened. Their biggest issue, protesters are saying, is they don't believe what police say. People who live in the Wesley Heights communities say they've had enough of the violence at a nightclub in their neighborhood. Some people who live there are demanding change after a man was shot in the stomach last Friday at Club 935. Last December, there was another video of a fight in which 10 students were arrested. Meanwhile, in this week's case, CMPD says their Internal Affairs Division is investigating just to make sure Officer Flowers follow department procedures and directives.
Good morning, Rob. The event here at Marshall Park starts at 7 o'clock tonight with a balloon release and also a candlelight vigil. A memorial was also held here last year.
A night of peaceful protest, chants, messages of justice and peace continued Friday morning, but not in the streets of Uptown. Instead, at high schools all across Mecklenburg County. At West Charlotte, students walked out of class chanting Black Lives Matter. And similar sights like you see here in this video at Harding High School. Students formed a circle in the middle of the quad. They chanted, they listened to poems. Principal Eric Ward supported their efforts.
We don't give them an outlet to do it in a positive manner. There's no telling which direction to go, and so we have to teach them while they're home.
UNC Charlotte sophomore Christine Slade says she understood why the high schoolers walked out of class. She was their age when she first witnessed a protest in high school in Baltimore after Freddie Gray died in the hands of police officers. She's now putting into action what she learned then. Days of protests in uptown Charlotte, front and center with police officers.
I decided to go up to talk to them, and by doing so, I raised my hands and said, "I'm an unarmed black female. I just want to speak to you."
She prayed for and with those officers, cried and hugged them.
Even though these are horrible times to be in, they still deserve to be treated like people as we are as well.
And now encouraging other high school students to start early like she did to understand the true meaning behind a peaceful protest.
Be strong. What you are doing is being noticed, believe it or not.
In Charlotte, Christina Watkins, Time Warner Cable News.
The smoke detectors truly saved their lives.
A scary morning for the Slaughter family. Firefighters rushed to their house in Harrisburg because their dryer caught fire.
When the firefighters got inside the house, the fire was located on the second floor. They advanced a hose line upstairs, zero visibility, heavy heat. Found the majority of the fire involving 2 rooms.
Family members told us they put clothes in the dryer overnight, and around 4:15 this morning, every smoke detector in the house went off. They smelled smoke but couldn't quite tell where it was coming from, and once they realized it was the laundry room on the second floor, they put their fire escape plan into action.
As soon as my husband saw some smoke, he said, "Grab the phone, call 911 and let's get out."
Firefighters say the Slaughters are the perfect example of how smoke detectors and an exit strategy can ultimately save lives.
We had just replaced all the batteries inside the smoke alarms, and thankfully we did, because that was what woke us up.
They had talked about this before, had a meeting place outside.
And now their next plan of action involves finding a new home.
May have to get a room for the night and see what goes on from there. I have no idea.
In Harrisburg, Christina Watkins, Time Warner Cable News. Early Thursday morning, surrounded by family, friends, and supporters, Lillian Cardona Perez prayed and hugged her 4 children tightly, not knowing if she'd see them again. She and her attorney met with Immigration Customs Enforcement for her check-in to find out if she'd be deported back to Guatemala. She's lived in the United States for 20 years, has a baby due in May, and has a work visa that's valid through October. Her family and friends told me they don't understand why ICE would try to deport her now.
Why are we here today? My question is, why are we here today?
ICE told me this process isn't as sudden as they may think. They said the 33-year-old was arrested in November 2010 in Wake County, which ultimately put her on their radar. In March 2011, a federal immigration judge ordered Cardona Perez to be removed from the country. She and her attorney filed several appeals, which were not successful. All of that led up to today. She and her attorney requested a stay of removal for a year. ICE approved that application, but still has to review it before making a final decision.
ICE can grant it for any amount of time. They can reject it and then give her another check-in later,
giving her at least a few more weeks with her family.
You feel very happy to see our kids again.
In Charlotte, Christina Watkins, Spectrum News.